Well, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us for Own Your Shit. It is not your kids. Crystal and I have been preparing for this for some time, and we're really excited to share with you not only our own experiences, but also the way through this. We have figured out a method that gets you out of the five alarm fire sometimes that is motherhood and into a healthier, more expansive, more connected way of being. And so we hope that you'll take something away from this live today. And we have a little offer for you at the end. So please feel free to drop any questions or any comments as we go along, and Crystal and I will do our best to answer them in real time. So, without further ado, just telling you a little bit about Crystal and myself. Crystal, would you like to go first, and then I'll share a little bit about me?
Sure. I'm Crystal. Hi. And I have been home with my kids, homeschooling them for 14 years. I have a practice where I do sessions to help people break through some beliefs and patterns that they're carrying. I have recently started becoming more authentic online and just showing all different sides of myself, my personality, and all the things I think about, which are super fun to do. And yeah, that's a little gist of me.
And I'm Taylor, and I have been a what I call a shamanic coach now for over a decade. And just like Crystal, we are trained in the same methodology and the same school. And really, at the root of what we do is we help people get back to who they want to be. And I've worked with women, men, moms. I've even worked with some teenagers, and it's just been a lovely way to help kind of the collective of humanity start to feel better. So it's wonderful. And my own journey into motherhood was a bit rough to begin with, which really took me by surprise, which you'll hear a little bit about quite soon. And so, something that Crystal and I really gel on is motherhood. And we each have a
Hmm.
love for systems, astrology, human design, destiny cards, that kind of stuff. And so, together, we've put our noggins together and we've come up with something really cool. So, we hope you like it as much as we like it because, you know. But,
Hmm.
anyways, so what is at the heart of this workshop today? We came up with this cheeky name, Own Your Shit. It's not your kids. And the crux of it is when you are in a place of feeling overwhelmed, when, the stove is on, the kids are crying, your husband's trying to tell you about his day, the dog is barking, right? The overwhelm can send you into fight or flight. It can send you into eruption or it can send you into shutdown. And so Crystal and I have both wrestled our ways through getting out of that at different times in our lives. And what we hope that you will learn today is that there is a way through, that if this is your reality and has been your reality for a long time, we are going to show you the way through, how to get out of it, how to begin releasing that old way of being, the old way of thinking, and stepping into this new path, this new way of thinking, which is a broader, more open, more connected way of being not only a mother, but a partner, a friend, a daughter.
Hmm.
It's really copy and paste for any area of your life that isn't the way you want it to be. Would you add
Hmm.
anything, Crystal?
Yeah, that was perfect, Taylor. I would really say that this doorway, just saying it again for motherhood, the doorway through motherhood with this work is what brought me into those other areas of life. And knowing that this way is for every area of life. It's a way of being, and it's about freedom, freedom from whatever was holding us back, which we'll get into in our stories.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, we might as well jump right into that because, after all, that's what they came for. So,
yes,
you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about how you got to this journey?
sure. So let's start the aha moment I had, which was when my oldest daughter, she was 6 weeks old. And I had a really hard time going from a single lady, not caring about what the next moment brings, working 3 jobs, to being pregnant and thinking that I was just going to go back to work and everything would be fine and dandy and normal like how it was before. And to do that, I had to visit a daycare. So I went to my local daycare. So not even, it was just, oh man, this moment was crazy because I walked into this daycare thinking like the next day I'd be giving them my 6 week old. Got this huge, I don't even remember walking around the daycare with these people. I was just like, wow, this is not the place my daughter's going to be. And it was this knowing that I was going to choose to stay home with them and homeschool. And the hardest part was knowing that who I was in those early moments, like those 6 weeks were extremely difficult. I knew that I couldn't be that person if I wanted and I strived to be home with my kids. And because it was unsustainable. Every moment that they had anything going on with them, honestly, anything going on with them, I couldn't handle it. I would start to, it would just stack on top of each other. I would bubble over. I would react so quickly. And afterwards, I would just be like, who was that? Who was that person? And I just kept asking myself, why do I act like this? Why does this trigger me? But even before those moments, I ended up creating throughout having those moments stack on top of each other of rupture, of just reacting in not my best moments. They started stacking on top of each other, and I started to look at her. And even my next child came when she was 2. I would look at them like they were the enemy, like they were messing up my day. And how dare they do this? Because I'm trying to like create this nice breakfast and like just the meltdowns. I couldn't handle it. I could not handle it. And I just remember having this time of like, what am I going to do? Like I want to set out to be this person who can be with my kids and not lay my head down at night and be like, you know what, tomorrow's going to be better. Because what the F is that? And I didn't want that to be my every night experience. I wanted to be free from these reactions that I ended up discovering were just codes. I love this language. Like it's just coding for and programming. And what happened was looking at literally just clawing my way out. I love how you said that yesterday. Like it was just clawing my way out one question at a time because I could not be this person that couldn't handle my kids. I strived to have connection. And so I set out with this value of connection. And everything kind of spiraled after that. And I dedicated my life to figuring out why I had these reactions. why I started believing my kids were the enemy
Mm.
and why they would even outside, just like people too, the people I would run into, everything snowballed into worst case scenario in my life. And I was left alone and unable to function in the
Mm.
way that I wanted to function. So asking the hard questions, really following that why. A lot of our method is about, I love it now because I'm not in it, but what everything had to do with and where it came from was my childhood,
Mm.
the stories I had about my mom, uh, all the things. It was just a big storm of the way I was reacting was tied to this lens of the trauma I had when I was younger.
Yeah.
And everything that I would keep telling myself, like my kids are the enemy, like I'm a terrible person. I just could not see a way out until I started looking at, well, why? Why is that? Why are you acting that way? You know? And then it started unraveling completely. And so when I tell you the freedom that comes from looking at this old programming of where we come from, that's what ended up giving me the freedom to choose, because beyond reaction is being able to respond. But reaction comes from this this well-grooved path I had of just, well, this would happen and this would be my reaction. And then over on the other side, which is where I wanted to be, ended up being learning why I would have that reaction and learning how to respond to what was happening in my life.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I
yeah.
think something that strikes me, I've heard this story obviously before, but I think something that strikes me is this commonality that happens for anyone who is seeking this kind of change. It begins with this moment where you're like going along in your life, and then boom, you're like, I cannot keep going in this direction. Because and you might not have any other data points around why or what's bringing this up now, but it's just this moment that Krystal and I have kind of named the catalyst moment. It's this moment where you're like, yeah, no, I cannot keep doing this. And so this is where the internal introspection really begins. And Krystal's came with this like amazing ability to ask herself, why? Why do I react this way? Why am I so triggered by my kids? Why? A lot of people get to the whys and stop.
Hmm.
And when they get to the why, it's because there is an unknown on the other side. There is something on the other side of that why that could be really scary to look at. And so most people brush up against it, and then they're like, no, I'm good. And then they
Hmm.
just keep repeating this cycle of their misery, and that is when it becomes really easy to say, oh, it's my husband's fault. Oh, it's my boss's fault. It's my kids. They suck. Why can't they just behave and listen to me? I was telling Krystal yesterday, I saw this meme that was like, I'm going to go ahead for a flex right now because I don't know about you, but my kids don't listen after 2 times, but they do listen after 40 times. And I laughed so hard because, Krystal has teenagers and a 4-year-old, and I have a 6-year-old and an 18-month-old. So I am very much in that little kid everyday demands of life right now. And in a moment, I'm going to share with you my story of how I got here, especially in motherhood. But I think when what I would call what happened in Krystal's story, right, is she had this like light bulb turn on. And that is that really important moment. And then you get to make a choice, like she said. You can either choose to stay right where you are, shut down, and not look at it anymore because it's hard, it's uncomfortable, it's sticky, it's icky. Or you can get curious. And when you get curious, that is when the next question will show up. And then you do a little digging and a little sifting and a little like, some curious introspection that allows you to unearth a few things that might be gold, like absolutely gold. Like one of Krystal's stories, and if you don't mind, I'm going to talk about this real quick, but something
Absolutely.
your story of when you realized, okay, I'm going to start making all these changes in my life and my husband Tony needs to be on board with me. When you broke up with that idea that Tony had to be walking the same path as you, freaking power moment. It's a power moment because you decided, no, wait, this isn't for anybody else. This is just me and my stuff. Tony doesn't need to walk this with me. I can just do this and become this. So, ladies, I'm giving you permission because Krystal has already shown us the way. Giving you permission to do this the way you need it to go. You don't need anybody else's permission. You don't need a partner in crime to walk down this path. It's fun if you get one, right? Like Krystal and I are each other's partner in crimes in this realm of reality. But sometimes this does look like solo work. So that can be hard to swallow because it's like, I don't want to do this by myself. But really, you're not alone because now you have us. But in your reality, this is your soul work. This is for you. This is for you. Did you add anything else before I jump into my story?
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about that a little bit more with Tony?
Absolutely.
Oh man. Well, thankfully I had found the community with our community when we were learning our teachings. But I would come home. I would come home and I'd be like, guess what I learned? Guess what we're implementing right now? Here's why. And oh my gosh, I just have this vision of our middle house and walking in the door and him sitting watching TV and walking in and just like, yeah, life's gonna be so much better. We're gonna arm this thing, and I'm so glad you're here, babe. We're gonna do this together. And that was anything but, anything but, anything but. He would listen and be like, mm-hmm. But it wasn't, yeah, like you said, it wasn't for him, but I didn't understand that for so long. And I don't even know what ended up clicking. I think it was just like, it was a moment. It was a moment of, wow, I can really see why people get divorced.
Yeah.
I can really see what drives a wedge between two people, like, let alone Tony. Like, this was the era of going to family dinners and being like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Y'all should be doing this and this. And if you don't, guys, and oh gosh, I am glad to have learned that lesson. I don't know if that lesson can be learned any other way besides experience, but since I let that part go, especially with my husband, and accepted him for who he was, and accepted myself for this pioneer mother person in my life, and just taking these teachings and really taking off with them instead of learning and vomiting them out to the next person I see. I kept them to myself and shared them with like-minded people. That was important to have like-minded people that understood what we were going through, understood changes we wanted to make, knew what listening was, active listening, and support looked like. So yeah, it was all me. It was all me. No one else. Everyone else is scot-free for how they needed to be. Oh, yeah.
They still have to own their own stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they can do that.
Oh, it's so wonderful. Thank you for going into that a little bit more. Oh, hold on. Let me see. What did Sarah say? Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Having that like minded community is so important because, yeah, it's true. And I've had that thought, Crystal, about why divorce is so prevalent because when our spouses or our partners or long-term people, when they can't meet, this goes for friendships too, when they can't meet
Mm.
us where we're at and then we draw a line in the sand, well, if you can't meet me here, then it's over. Like, for some that is the truth, for some it is, but if you can realize that you're just walking a different journey, but it doesn't need to be without that person, and you can just allow that person to be on their own journey, and you're like, hey, you're on that road, hey, I'm on this road, we can still walk together, but we're just walking in different lanes on the same highway. So having a like-minded community is like clutch. It's so good. It's so good.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about what got me here. And really, it all boils down to our childhood, right? Everything, all of our problems, is going to save you guys a lot of research, a lot of time, probably happened in your childhood. Okay. Just a little secret there. Growing up, I was in a family with two parents who, my mom was very chill, very calm, very loving, very like go with the flow. And I had a dad who was anything but that. Like, he was always there, he was a good provider, and he would fly off the handle, though. So, hi, welcome. And he would, every now and then, just explode with emotions. And it would really take me and my younger brother by surprise. So it really kind of surprised me quite a bit that when I became a mom, I just assumed that I would be like my mom. I would be chill, relaxed. I wouldn't yell. I would be the kind of mom who just like went with the flow, like a true gentle parenting lifestyle. I can honestly tell you, I have not lived that once. I have not lived it at all. And I surprise myself because I am actually a lot more like my dad, but with the emotional intelligence behind it, which he lacks. And so I am not like, I'm a fun mom. Me and my kids, like I always say, like, aren't you guys supposed to be climbing all over your dad? Like, isn't it like the daddy jungle gym? No, they're always climbing all over me. And, we have a lot of fun. We go places together. We crack each other up. And then when I get overwhelmed, I yell. And I don't like to yell. And it gets me, I have a pretty high threshold, but it does happen. And when my daughter was young, I was really, really hard on myself about that. I could not understand why I was not this version of myself that I had thought I was going to be. And so there was this real disconnect between the type of mom I wanted to be and the type of mom that I was. And I was not willing to accept the kind of mom that I was becoming or just was. And it was because I had this really deep belief that if I acted like this, I would be a bad mom. And it wasn't until I confronted that and really looked at like what truly makes a bad mom, right? And for a long time, I would have to say things to myself like, are your kids fed? Do you love them? Do they have a roof over their head?
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you repair things when things get intense and hard? And the answer to all those questions were yes. So I had to stop believing this little lie that was going on in my head about being a bad mom if I lost my shit every now and then. And when I accepted that I was not going to be like my mom is wonderful, but I wasn't going to be her. I wasn't her. And that a lot of my parenting was flavored with, like, I'm really sarcastic like my dad, but like in a funny way. And my daughter's finally understanding sarcasm. So that's where we're getting there. She's now like, Mom, you know. But for me, it was, I had to become aware that I wasn't going to be my mother. And then I had to accept that I was a blend of some of the best and worst parts of my dad, too. And then I just gave myself permission to be the kind of parent that I am. And that parent is fun. And that parent is really loving and filled with empathy and compassion and knows when to repair things when stuff goes south. And also, I get overwhelmed sometimes. And that's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be this black and white way of thinking anymore. And that's really what freed me. And coming into what we call right relationship with those different parts of me set me free. So now, yeah, I don't love to yell. And yes, I do still have moments where I'm like, ooh, probably could have handled that better. But I have the other awareness around like, well, you know what? I give myself some grace because motherhood is freaking hard, as you know. It is hard. We are out there doing hard work every day. And if you're also trying to like work a regular job or you're an entrepreneur like Krystal and I are, it is so, so layered. And, you know, I want to touch on something too. I'm just going to shift gears really quickly. But there is this layer, and it's in Krystal's story, and I didn't share it in mine, but it is there. And it was this moment that I don't think gets enough attention in motherhood. And it is the grieving of the maiden. It is this transition from the life you had, this robust, fun, independent lifestyle that we take for granted. And then we birth a baby into this world, and that's it. There's no adjustment period. Like, I had 2 C-sections. And I don't think this is truer for like anything else, but basically like they slice you hip to hip and they're like, here's a life that you must take care of with no time for recovery for yourself. Just go do it. And if that is like a perfect analogy for motherhood, I don't know what is. My own OBGYN after my daughter was born actually said to me, you know, a cesarean is the only surgery where we give you no recovery time. He was like, any other surgery that was that invasive, we'd give you 6 to 8 weeks of like bed rest. 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh my God, I did not know that.
Hi, you've been out of your anesthesia now for 4 hours. Please stand up and walk around the hospital room because you have to breastfeed a baby now. I mean, we're amazing. Women are amazing. You can't ever convince me that we're not. But I digress a little bit. But it's to make this point of how quickly that switch gets flipped for women when we choose motherhood. Or sometimes it chooses us, right? Like sometimes we weren't ready and it's just, bam, guess what? There's a baby coming. And then you have to wrestle through your feelings about that. And I know for me, that moment really hit me of grieving the mother or grieving the maiden, excuse me, when I told Krystal this story. I was washing dishes. I'm pretty sure I was washing baby bottles. And I was just kind of drifting in and out of like, you know, just kind of like a conscious flow of thoughts. And my daughter was taking a nap. And I remember thinking to myself, oh yeah, you know what? I think I want to go find some new jeans. I'm going to finish this and I'm just going to go to the store. And I was like fully committed to that thought when all of a sudden I was like, wait, I can't just drop what I'm doing right now, go to the store. There's a 6-week-old sleeping in the other room. And it was like this crushing weight of, oh my God, I don't have my freedom anymore.
Mm.
And excuse me, it was a time I had to move through in grief, but nobody tells you that there's going to be grief involved in, taking care of a baby. Nobody tells you that. So it's interesting. It's interesting how layered all of this gets, but it all comes back to awareness and acceptance. Acceptance of what is. And then you get to make choices. I can either keep going this way or I can change. And that's where the real magic starts to happen. Have anything to add, friend?
Yeah, absolutely. Ugh, as you were talking, I'm just like, yeah, do you want to keep banging your head against a wall?
Yeah. No.
A wall? No, the answer is no. But yeah, there's this path to take. There's this path to take.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be without support.
No. It doesn't have to be
Hmm.
without support. And I think too, when we have this internal awareness start to come online, we, like I was saying, that choice point is the way out. And you
Hmm.
do it one of many ways. Like you can start asking yourself all those why kind of questions to be like, okay, if I'm observing myself, why do I act this way? What was the trigger moment? And, our children, if you believe in the philosophy of like soul contracts, and they come to teach us things. Yes, we are here to teach them too. But really, children are our best teachers because they're going to mirror back to us all the stuff that we never did anything about in our lives. And so, what greater opportunity than to say, wow, okay, here's an area of growth that I did not know I needed, staring me in the face, potentially having a meltdown in the kitchen on the floor. And you're having, like heart palpitations while your kid is freaking out. Yeah, that's somewhere in you that needs something. There's an area
Mm.
inside you that needs parenting. And so, yeah, it's hard to parent your kid and yourself at the same time. It is not easy. It is not easy, but it is beyond worth it. Beyond worth it.
Hmm.
Really starts with connection. It starts with seeing our little people or our teenagers as whole humans, as souls who are here to learn things too. And what an opportunity to be able to have that time where you're like, yeah, I can do this. I can get to the root of what this problem is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And more of that, having a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old is
Yes.
I'm starting to see the results of the work I did when she was 6 weeks old. And
Mm.
right along with your topic is, it's been little stacks of like them coming into their life, into their personality, into their own way of being. Because for a while, it's like, okay, I choose your clothes, this is what we're doing. They don't really have that voice yet. But with support, like, there's not a moment in my day where I'm like, God damn, I love them so much just for their very specific ways of being and how they're able to feel safe enough to express that.
Yes.
Like, but and be in it with them.
Yeah.
And yeah. And so that's just one of the results of knowing that if this is the connection that we want to have, not only with our kids,
Yeah.
but with our partner, with
Yeah.
our mom. Like, even as you were talking, when our children reflect those things back to us of what we didn't look at before, like I was in no contact with my mom during that time. I
Mm.
had cut her off and blamed her for everything. And this is a good hot topic. But I think a lot of our repair had to do with my first child and what I was being shown, the mirror that was being placed in front of me. And I was like, wow, okay, I understand a lot now about things and forgiveness,
Mm.
not just for her, but our relationship and forgiveness for myself. And God, children are just, this is such a perfect doorway because it is what creates the momentum into being this person that can say hi to the anyone on the street, have a conversation, you
Yes.
know, have a teenager who is into weird ass shit, but yeah, I can appreciate it too, and have conversations with her about it and not dread those conversations.
Yes.
So, yeah. hmm
Mm. I love that. I love that you're at the point where you're seeing the results of your work. And that's what
Yeah.
it is. It's work. It's work. And it's very rewarding work. Um, I can honestly say that, my own daughter is this girl, she's gonna rule the world someday, but I gotta survive her first because she's a lot. She's a lot of amazing things. And she was sent here to teach me patience like you cannot believe. And, kind of similarly, like I can have a day with her where it's just like matching of that energy all day long. And then when she passes out at night, I just look at her and I see my sweet little like cherub, chubby cheeked 6-year-old, And I love that moment. And she has been my greatest teacher. And I know the lessons aren't over because she came here to like forge her own way. And she has forced me to think outside the box, to parent her differently, to be able to change my parenting style on a dime. Because what once worked does not work anymore. And then sometimes she's like, oh no, that'll work again, mom. Like she's the kid point blank yesterday. Before I'd even taken a sip of my coffee, she'd asked me for like 6 different snacks after she had breakfast. And then while I was like exasperated by trying to figure out what else to give her to eat, she's like, your coffee's getting cold. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's humbling. It's humbling, but it's also, I know she's gonna just, you know, be an incredible little light in this world someday. And I just gotta help her keep getting to that point. But it comes from continuing to do my own work and realizing, like, you know what, this is just how she is. And I can either keep resisting it or I can just find the places in me that are flexible so that I can continue loving her unconditionally and accepting her, even in the really, really hard moments. And
hmm
like you were saying, constant forgiveness and those cycles of like repairing connection. Where can I give myself grace? Where can I give her grace? Looking at the facts and not making up a bigger story about it. And we could go on, like, talk just about that for another hour. But Is there anything else, Crystal? I want to kind of see if there's any questions in the room, but is there anything else that you would like to chat about?
Yeah, I think we should bring up maybe some conditioning.
Yeah.
As you were talking, about the allowing them to be who they are. So if I go back to when I believed my child was the enemy,
Yeah.
and I would look at her, like this was really hard to admit. I remember admitting this for the first time a couple years ago to my cousin, and I was just like, yeah. And I was received really well because she was like, yeah, same. And I was like, oh, maybe maybe I'm not alone. Oh, look at me. Maybe I was unique about this. No, I wasn't alone because this is a normal thing, but I don't know if people label it as looking at their child as the enemy.
Mm.
But what was happening and what you had said was, it's like this, there's this bumping up against, and I know that a lot of it is conditioning. A
Yeah.
lot of it is conditioning, like you said, from our childhood stories, how things should be,
Yes.
how we think things should go. And if they don't, then it's like, well, who the heck do you think you are? And like, no, no. And that's where everything ties back to childhood or stories. It was like, okay, well, when did I feel like I was the enemy? Just
Ooh.
those good stories about bringing that feeling back. And when was that first time of feeling that feeling? And so that's a little taste for what we do here. But God, I'm so glad I no longer look at them as the enemy because I just think of it as like a brick wall. I'm hitting a brick wall every time I thought that thought. And my actions with that belief that they were the enemy didn't match up to who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And it was only like the allowing of this person to be who they are, and then also spending that time to see why I thought that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my little, oh, I'm checking the chat.
I think
Yeah.
when we are brave enough to look at the parts of ourselves that maybe don't feel the best, that is where the most healing lies. And so, for those of you listening right now, Crystal and I created a program that is called The Way Through. And the first level of these teachings is called the Rebuild. And we are starting the rebuild on August 6th. And it's going to be a go at your own pace online course where you can tap in and listen to these lessons at your own convenience. And Crystal and I really worked together to build this because we believe that there is a better way. And it hurts us both to watch people think that there isn't. And we know that in order to build a better world, it starts with us, it starts with you. And when you do this work, I saw someone in the chat say, I wish I had done this work a long time ago. And it's not too late. It is not too late. You can start this at any point in time and make a difference because your inner work creates ripples out into the world. And the first place it's going to hit is your kids. The first people who will notice those subtle changes in you are your children, and then your spouse, and then your parents, and then your siblings, and then your friends, and then your coworkers, and la 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 la. But it's possible to get overwhelmed and be okay shortly after. It is possible to stop saying, oh my God, why does everything feel so out of control? It is possible to stop looking at your children like they are the problem. It is possible to stop looking at your spouse that way. And it isn't to just turn it around on yourself and be like, it was me, I'm the problem. What's that Taylor Swift song? Hey, it's me.
It's me.
It's me.
Na, na, na.
But yes, it is and it isn't. Because what you are responsible for is making the changes, but it's not your fault that you are the way that you are. That's where that childhood conditioning comes in, right? And we can bring this one layer deeper and say it's not really your parents' fault either, right? Because they're a product of what they endured, and so on and so forth, all the way back into all the layers of your ancestors. So, but you are responsible for making the changes, right? And then those ripple forward. So this program, it's going to take you on an inner journey of why are things ready to change right now? Why are you listening to this? Why are you on this call right now? Because there's something inside of you that was like, I have had enough. I don't want to do this anymore. You've already taken a really brave first step just by being here, just by listening to this. And if you're watching the replay, the same goes for you. So you begin with that point in time, like what is shifting for me now? What has to change? And you might not know the answer to that yet, but you have the awareness that there's something that's got to change. And then we walk you through step by step by step. There are journal prompts. You're going to hear some of Krystal and my combined wisdom teachings, and you're going to have the opportunity to connect with her and I as well throughout this process. Because as we have said several times today, you're not alone. You're not alone. We're going to hold your hand through this process. Yes, you're going to do the work on your own, but we are here to answer your questions. We are here if you're like, I can't see this, I can't get past this one thing. And we will ask you some very clever questions to help you move through it. Because, she and I, we found our community pretty early on in this process. And so we had people who had our backs, who could sit and hear us complain and hear us tell the stories and be like, okay, that's good. And now what? Right. And so we help you get to that place as well. So would you add anything?
Oh my God, that was amazing. No, you literally clocked every point. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we live this work. This isn't something that we just decided on a whim to create. Like, this is work we live every day. And we want the same for you, but you got to know how to do it. And so that is what the way through the rebuild is. And do you want to talk a little bit about the logistics of the course, Krystal, or do you want me to just keep talking?
Oh my gosh, you keep talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So love it. Thanks. I tell I love to talk. It's the Gemini in me. And so we are offering this course for $247. And there's going to be an email that comes out after this that gives you a little bit more details on how to sign up. And you will have lifetime access to this course. So you can go back and revisit it anytime you want. You can replay the courses, go as fast or as slowly as you want to. Take the time. And like I said, you will have access to Krystal and I as well. And outside of the course, if you ever wanted to book a private session with Krystal or myself, we both have locations where you can see us in person. And you also, we can offer online, or I offer online. I don't know if Krystal does at the moment, but we can also offer online sessions as well. So yeah, do you have any questions? I want to open it up to the floor. I see there's some stuff going on with the chat. Let me just take a peek over here.
Oh, did we say the date that this is all going down?
August 6th. I think I did.
August 6th.
If I did not, and it's not like there's a specific time. It's just the course will open on the 6th. So it's not like this where there's a designed time. You would just purchase the course, and then on the 6th you will have access to it. Ever and ever and ever. Do you have any questions, ladies in the chat, the mamas? Ooh, yeah, I'm reading this from Sarah. I really wish I had done this work before. I regret not being in a place to do this with you. Yeah, the big feelings, they're so triggering. They are so triggering. Mm,
Yeah, tying it back to you as a child.
yes. Yeah, it's this work heals backwards and forwards too. So when you heal yourself, when you're working through this for yourself, your kids start to feel it, but then you have this gift of seeing your parents differently. Like, I know that this work has really helped me see my father in a different light. And I just sort of see him now as this little boy who didn't get what he needed. And so he couldn't give it to us. And, it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. And it doesn't forgive some of those things. But it makes him more human to me. And that our parents are flawed too. And that two things can exist, right? The bad and the good. So you can kind of live in
Mm,
the space of and instead of or. Yeah.
it makes me think of, oh, I just love this topic so much. We are sifters. Did you
Yes.
hear me say that? Like, we are sifters there's something in human design. I don't know if anyone's familiar, but the gene keys that we have, where when we are in utero, our gene keys start to develop. And the cycle of, how your grandparent was. And more than likely, your mom was opposite. And more than likely, you might be more similar to your grandparent. Like, there's this cycle of differences, like back and forth, back and forth. And the sifter in us right now, with all of you here too, you're sifters too, because we are starting to have this awareness of this. Your awareness of your childhoods coming online, your awareness of your parents, your grandparents. I don't know if it can go any further with knowing, maybe through family stories, but understanding how your family was
Yeah.
and the patterns that played out.
Yeah.
Because my pattern, I think we had similar patterns, and I don't like, let us know if this is also a similar pattern for you too. So my grandmother was the type of mother who she was not around for my mom at all. And she was like on her second husband. And my mom was basically just free to do what she wanted to do. My mom, through that type of parenting, was like, oh, hell no. This is not going to be the case for you, my daughter, Crystal. And like very, very tight, very fearful of the world and what was going on outside, and just please stay here very tightly with me because I'm scared.
Yeah.
And that was almost the catalyst moment for me when I became a parent. Was all right, so I see that there's three paths laid out ahead of me, where I could go this path of my mom and just integrate the beliefs that she had, which I was already doing at that point. Or I can completely rebel against my mom. And that's how that pattern starts in families. It's like, well, I'm not doing that over there. So I'm going to go over here, like, F you guys over there. That's how I feel when you rebel against what your parents are doing. But there's this other path. And this other path is filled with plants, bushes. Like, you gotta take in, what is that tool that people use that are super cool? Well, that tool, and you're going in with that, and you're like, okay, I don't need this here anymore. Oh, I'm gonna sit down with this flower, and I'm just going to give it some forgiveness and see its beauty again. And it's this beautiful path of creating your own way of being. So this isn't self-development. Like, none of this is self-development. It's self-knowing. Like, we're not here to tell you how to be. We're not here to show you our way, and it has to be your way. So these teachings are really going to show you what you need to see with support, and where that's going to take you, where you want to choose. Like, this is all about where you want to choose to go,
Yeah.
because it's possible to choose where you want to go. You don't have to inherit the patterns and beliefs from your family, and you don't have to rebel against the patterns and beliefs from your family. You can choose.
Yeah.
That's all for my TED Talk.
I love it. It's so true. I want to just jump back over to the comments for a section. Sarah, I totally understand. Yes, my father was saying it is anxiety. That's a beautiful insight. And it is hard to, I think our generation we are gifted with being able to see what is our trauma and be able to start to pull it apart and, like we were saying, sift through it. And many of our parents, I'm not going to say all, many of our parents are not willing to look because they have lived one way for so long. And I don't know if this will make you feel any better, but my belief around this is with I'm going to call them our senior adults, because we're all adults, right? But the more senior layer of adults in our world, they have lived one way for so long that it is part of their identity. And if you've ever brushed up against a change in identity, you know that it is a cliff. It is a cliff, and it is terrifying to stand on the edge of that cliff and think that everything you were and everything you are is not true. And so when you're in your 60s and your 70s and you have now believed one thing for 6 or 7 decades, or possibly even longer than that, I don't know. I don't know if it's possible to get through that fear, but you got to have a lot of drive. You really have to want to change. And unfortunately, many of our older family members, they're not interested in that because they're in the second half of their life and they're like, you know what? It's been okay so far. So if you're here listening to this now and you're not in the second half of your life, maybe you're staring it down, but you're not there yet. So there is plenty of time, and there's plenty of time for them too. But it's, there's something about our generation, this millennials, and even some of the like the Gen Xers are really getting into this and realizing, like, I have a ton of clients who are in their mid 40s, mid 50s, and they're like, I don't want to live this way anymore. And it is hard. It is hard for them to see how they can move and push past it, but it is possible, and I'm seeing them do it. So don't give up on your dad. That's all I'm going to say. Don't give up on him, because, like I said, when you do this work, sometimes it ripples forward and backwards. I can even tell you that my own dad, I never thought it would be possible for him and I to achieve almost like a friendship type relationship, and we have that now. And it's touch and go, and sometimes it's not there, but when it is, it's really beautiful. And that came from me shifting, not him, from me. So hopefully that gives you a little hope for the future of what could potentially become possible. Yeah. Any other thoughts out there, questions, comments, anything that Krystal, about the course, about this live today, anything that Krystal and I can touch on for you before we wrap up?
Taylor, I'll add that with talking about relationships, my Nana, and especially with age, my Nana died a year after she came to terms with how she treated my mom. And she told me.
Oh.
And I was like, I did not expect it. But through this work, I stopped telling the story. Here's a little peek into our work, but I stopped telling the story of what was going on and recognized that she was this person, my mom was this person, my mom made a decision, that ended up changing our lives. And throughout all of this work, my Nana like apologized to me on the phone. I did not, side blinded me. I did not even expect it. I ended up telling my mom after she passed, and I was like, "You're never gonna believe this, but I feel like I have to tell you this." And like she was also just like shocked because it was, I won't get into the stories, but um I think there is hope. There is hope, and that it's vague to say that through this work it's going to ripple out because you won't see it until you see it. And it's unseeable until you get there. And I think that's one of the fires that keeps going is like, wow, like this is a lifestyle. Wow, I'm going to keep going because of the beautiful connections I have made and the changes that I have seen in my life. So, if that's what you want, there's a lifestyle change and a certain way of being. And it's fun as heck. So, yeah, it's fun as heck.
It is. Good for you, Sarah. Good for you. Keep it going, girl. Keep going.
Mm,
It is possible. It is.
oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. All right. I
Well,
love this. This is
I
beautiful.
thank you so much for coming, everyone. And for if you're listening to this replay, we hope that you can walk away today with some hope for the future, a couple little nuanced tools that can start you on this journey. And if you're ready to dive in, the rebuild is waiting for you. August 6th, baby. You
Mm,
reach me at taylorcrofton.com, and you can reach crystal at crystalmccave.com. And you can find us on our Instagram page, Unleash Your Momentum, and our Facebook page as well, Instagram and Facebook. So feel free to reach out to us. Yes, the replay can be shared with like-minded people. Once the link is available, we will have it posted on our link tree, our Facebook page, and we're going to upload it to YouTube. So we will have definitely places where people can keep watching this. And yes, spread the love. Please spread the love. So anything else, Crystal, you want to say before we sign off?
I think that was it. Thank you so much for coming, everyone, and listening to us, commenting, asking us questions. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yay. All right, ladies. I'm a nerd at heart, so I'm just gonna tell you to go forth and prosper from Star Trek. I'm not even a Trekkie. I don't know why, but I love doing that. All right, thank you all so much for coming, and we hope that you will be with us in the future for more things. All right, everyone, take care.